Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into the nuts and bolts of politeness in English.
Yeah, we are.
We've looked at a bunch of sources focusing on those practical phrases you use every day. And the goal is pretty simple, really, to help you sound more natural, more confident.
And just, more likable when you're speaking English.
Exactly. Because it's not always just about please and thank you, is it?
Not at all. Those are crucial, obviously. But there's this whole other layer. Native speakers often use, a kind of indirectness.
Right. And being too direct, even if you don't mean it, can sometimes sound a bit rude.
It can, yeah. Unintentionally, of course.
Yeah.
Politeness often involves specific phrases, sort of softeners,
Yeah.
that we use for requests, suggestions, disagreements.
Corrections too, right?
Yeah.
And just giving opinions.
Spot on. So we're going to
Mhm.
break down those categories, give some real-world examples, and highlight the key phrases you can start using, right away.
Okay, so let's unpack this idea of indirectness a bit more. Why do English speakers often prefer it? Is it just about being nice?
Well, it's partly that, but it's also often tied to cultural values. Things like respecting personal space or autonomy, maybe,
Uh.
and keeping social interactions smooth.
Ah, okay. So by being indirect with, say, a request.
You're giving the other person more room, aren't you? You're not imposing as much. It shows you're considering their feelings, their situation. It's more than just softening the words.
Makes sense. So our mission today, equip you, our listener, with the tools for this. We'll hit requests, suggestions, disagreements, corrections, and opinions.
Exactly. We want to get past just the dictionary meaning and into how these phrases actually work in conversation.
Okay, let's kick off with requests. The sources point out that just saying can you or will you isn't always the best way. What about could you? Why is that so common?
Could you? Is it? Well, it's brilliant because it frames the request as a possibility, not an order.
Right.
If you say, could you help me with this report? It sort of acknowledges they have a choice. It's inherently less demanding than just help me.
Yeah, definitely softer. And then there's would you mind? Would you mind closing the window? That feels even more gentle.
It does. And it's interesting because technically you're asking if they object.
Oh,
But
right.
in reality, it's just a very polite, maybe slightly more formal request. The expected answer is, no, not at all, which actually means, yes, I'll do it.
Huh, okay. That's a neat little linguistic trick. What about, do you think you could? As in, do you think you could give me a hand later?
I like that one. It sounds like you're genuinely checking if they have the time or capacity.
Yeah, it's less presumptuous.
Exactly. It makes it easier for them to say no if they need to without feeling awkward.
And even more indirect. I was wondering if you could, example, I was wondering if you could send me that file.
Ah, yes. That's very soft. It almost sounds casual, like an afterthought.
Gives them maximum space.
Totally. No pressure to say yes immediately. They can consider it.
Okay, and one more for a request. If it's not too much trouble, for instance, if it's not too much trouble, could you check this for me?
That one explicitly shows you're aware you might be inconveniencing them.
Shows empathy.
Right. You recognize it takes effort, and you respect their time. It's a really considerate touch.
And of course, tone of voice plays a huge role here too, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely critical. You could use the politest phrase in the world, but with a flat or demanding tone.
It falls apart.
Completely. Often that little upward inflection at the end of the request, that makes it sound much friendlier. More like a question, less like an instruction.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears to suggestions. This can be tricky, especially at work or in groups. How do we suggest things politely?
Teamwork-focused language is great here.
Yeah.
Maybe we could try.
Oh.
Saying, maybe we could try a different design for this banner. It makes it feel collaborative, like you're thinking together.
And how about we? How about we meet earlier next time?
Yeah.
Similar vibe.
Yeah, very similar. It includes everyone, frames it as a group possibility. Let's do this. But, softer.
Got it. I also saw, have you thought about using a different color? That feels quite indirect.
It is. It just sort of floats the idea out there.
Doesn't force it.
Exactly. It prompts them to consider it rather than you telling them your preference directly.
And then it might be a good idea to, example, it might be a good idea to double check the numbers. This sounds a bit cautious.
It does. It presents the suggestion as, just potentially beneficial, a wise move maybe, but not something you have to do.
So the pattern with suggestions is making it feel like a joint effort, not a command from on high.
Precisely. It just fosters a more open discussion, really.
Okay, disagreements. Always a fun one. How do we disagree without causing offense?
Yeah, crucial skill. A key first step is often acknowledging their point before you disagree.
Like validating it first.
Exactly. Phrases like, I see what you mean, but are perfect. I see what you mean, but I'm not sure that would work here.
Cushions the blow a bit.
It does. Or, that's a good point, though, I think. So, that's a good point, though. I think we should consider another option.
The vowel is doing heavy lifting there.
It is. It's like a polite pivot. It says, I heard you, I value that, and here's my different thought.
What about the more direct, I'm not sure I agree, to be honest? Can that still be polite?
It can, yes. Adding to be honest can make it sound sincere, not just argumentative.
Maybe explain why.
Oh, definitely. Best to follow up with your reasoning so it doesn't just sound dismissive.
Okay. And I hear you, but maybe we could look at it another way. That really emphasizes the listening part.
It does. It shows you've processed what they said, and you're suggesting a different angle, not just shutting them down. Makes it feel less confrontational.
So the big takeaway for disagreeing, respect their view, even if yours is different.
Absolutely. Keep the conversation constructive.
Right. Now, corrections. Another delicate area. How do we fix an error without making someone feel, well, stupid?
Tact is key. Often, you soften it. Actually, I think it works well. Actually, I think the meeting is at 3, not 2. But the tone on actually is vital. Helpful, not, ha, you're wrong.
Yeah, tone is everything there. What about, you might be right, but I thought. Like, you might be right, but I thought she was from Spain, not Italy.
That's great because it introduces doubt about your own knowledge first.
Shows humility.
Exactly. It softens the correction immediately.
And even simpler. I could be wrong, but...
Very unassuming. It offers the correction, but explicitly leaves room for you to be mistaken.
So the goal with correcting is just clarity, but doing it kindly.
Precisely. Get the info right without bruising any egos. Facilitate understanding, basically.
Okay, last category. Softening opinions.
Mm-hmm.
How do we say what we think without sounding too dogmatic?
Tentative language is your friend here, using things like, I guess.
As in?
I guess we could try it that way and see what happens. It suggests it's just one possibility, not the final word.
Leaves the door open. What about, it seems to me that, it seems to me that this strategy could work.
That frames it very clearly as your perspective, based on what you see.
Not objective fact.
Right. It invites other people to say how it seems to them. Very open.
I also saw, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. Is it okay to just admit uncertainty?
Oh, absolutely. It builds trust. Better than pretending you know everything, right? Shows you're willing to admit when you don't have the answer. Intellectual honesty.
Good point. And finally, from my perspective.
Very clear signal. Yeah, this is my viewpoint. Like, it seems to me it highlights subjectivity.
So all these phrases basically make your opinion sound more like a contribution to the discussion, not the final verdict.
Exactly. Thoughtful, open, invites more dialogue.
Okay, the sources even gave us a little mini dialogue using these. It starts with a request. Could you send me the file when you get a chance?
Yep, nice and polite, no pressure.
Then a polite counter request comes back. Sure. Would you mind checking the numbers one more time?
Great use of would you mind for that reciprocal request.
Jangle?
The correction.
Luca.
Not at all. Actually, I think we made a small error in the total. There's that soft actually again. Introducing the correction smoothly.
Followed by a suggestion. Oh, you're right. It might be a good idea to double-check everything.
Using it might be a good idea to makes it a collaborative next step.
And it wraps up with one more suggestion.
Yeah. And maybe we could update the chart, too.
And maybe we could. Keeps that collaborative,
Yeah.
non-pushy feel. It's a really nice flow of polite back and forth.
It definitely shows how it works in practice.
Yeah.
Pronunciation came up, too, making these sound natural. For would you mind? Apparently, it often squishes together.
Yeah, very common. Sounds more like would you mind. It just flows better in fast speech.
And I was wondering if you could. Can get quicker, too. Like, I was wondering if you could.
Exactly. Spoken English links words and often reduces unstressed sounds. Helps with rhythm.
And for actually, the stress is key. ACK chuli.
Yep, getting the stress right helps with sounding natural and making sure the meaning comes across clearly.
Okay, so there's a challenge for you listeners. Take a direct sentence and make it polite. First one, change, send me the file. Right, and the example polite version is, could you send me the file when you have a moment? Big difference in tone.
Huge difference. Second challenge, rewrite, I don't like it.
And the suggestion is, I'm not sure that's quite my style.
Ah, that's a good one.
Uh,
Shifts it from a harsh judgment to personal preference.
Exactly. Much softer, less critical.
And the advice is to actually try saying these polite versions out loud.
Definitely. Practicing is how you make these phrases feel comfortable and natural coming out of your mouth. Internalize them.
So, wrapping up,
Hmm.
being polite in English, it's clearly more than just remembering please. It's about how you structure things.
Absolutely. Requests, suggestions, disagreements, corrections, opinions, using these kinds of softening phrases we talked about is key.
And really practicing this stuff, using these tools, it helps you communicate with more confidence, more respect.
And ultimately, you build better connections, right? You just sound more natural, more approachable in English.
Totally agree. It really underscores that idea. It's not just what you say, it's very much how you say it that truly counts.
Makes all the difference.
So, maybe something for you to think about after this.
Mm-hmm.
What other little subtle parts of communication do you find really fascinating or tricky? Definitely food for thought.